Keith, New England Whiskey, joined by my good buddy Austin, Moon's Tavern. Another episode and installment of Neat Conversation coming up here for you. Your unscripted YouTube show where we go all over the place, left, right, up, down, I don't know. Our intro changes every week. We have a little fun. And, of course, we have Neat Conversations. I skipped it one week, and I'm getting back to remembering to add that in. And, you know, we got a fun one here for you. One that I'm excited about. A brand that people really like. And hello there. It is me, your wonderful host, Keith Doubtfire. I had to throw in an intro. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do about my Johnny shirt. Like I said on our last episode, my voiceovers are not as great. I am definitely not as good as Robin Williams, nor do I even remotely pretend to be. But I got Mrs. Doubtfire on my shirt, and so I tried to do my best Mrs. Doubtfire impression.
Well, Ada liked it. She barked as soon as she heard you talking in that voice. So she gave her approval.
Well, I will say that there's a funny meme on the internet that goes around that say Pierce Brogdon's worst enemy is Mrs. Doubtfire.
Run by fruitings.
Yeah.
We used to watch that show, man, or that movie all the time back when my kids were younger.
I watched
it's a good one.
Yeah, it is, and I watched it pretty recently, probably honestly within the last month. I like to sometimes fall asleep with something on TV, and I like to put something on that I know. If it's something new, and I get really hooked, I'm not going to be able to fall asleep. So
yeah.
My girlfriend always jokes. My girlfriend always jokes about how fast I can fall asleep when we put on Harry Potter. Sometimes it's literally, I don't even make it to the Dudley's house. I'm already asleep. She goes, if you ever need to just fall asleep, that's how to do it. So, but enough movie talk, because I am not a movie buff by any means. I got a little Glenn here. I'm not a movie buff by any means. I'm gonna pull out a little Glenn. I won't call this one a spittoon, which I was graciously corrected. But I got a mini Glenn here, and we're gonna pour some Peerless.
Heck yeah! Now, which one is that one that you got?
This one right here. I have the Double Oak Rye in my hand.
Okay, so the one that I got is the Double Oaked Bourbon.
Okay.
So
we said we were gonna pour Double Oak Peerless, and then we didn't go any further with that. We both thought we were pouring the same thing. Come to find out, one is a rye, one's a bourbon, though.
It'll work out great.
I feel like
now,
I could be wrong, but I feel like Peerless might be a little more well known for their rye than bourbon.
You're right. Well, I have a rye for the next one, but if I want to be honest with you, the Peerless that I've had, other than the pick that I did, which I'm going to be bringing that out here soon. This Double Oak Bourbon is by far chef's kiss, man. I really, really enjoy this one. Out of all the Peerlesses that I've had the regular bourbon, and it was okay, but this Double Oak is very, very, very good. I do wish that Peerless would come down on their price a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit much for 108 proof, but I was not disappointed with this one. It definitely hit all the notes that I wanted. Some of the other Peerless offerings, I think you can get some really good single barrels in there that are really good, picks and stuff like that. But as far as their regular offerings, absolutely would recommend the Double Oak Bourbon one for my palate.
Yeah, and I mean, I am a rye fan. I am a rye guy too. So, I mean, I love my Double Oak Rye. But yeah, so obviously what we're tasting in our notes are going to be pretty different because I'm going to get a rye spice and that little bit heavier of a pepper feel than you'll get. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this. The Double Oak Rye, when I got it, I believe it was a distillery-only product at the time. I could be wrong at that. I do know
you're right.
One of the other Peerlesses that I brought out was 100% a distillery only release. So
I got you. Yeah, this one I actually got. I was traveling and it was at a Total Wine, and I saw it. And again, it was one of those things. Virginia, they have like the regular offerings, the bourbon and the rye, and sometimes the Virginia will do the store picks, but they typically do not carry this on the shelf all the time. So when I saw it, I was like, man, I don't know. What's funny is I actually called up Whiskey Diz, and I was like, hey man, because he just did a video or something about Peerless. So I was like, hey, would you recommend this? I said, I've had some of their bourbons, I've had some of their ryes, I wasn't digging it. And he goes, man, you have to love this distillery on the sole thing that they're just doing their own thing. The bottles are really cool. Everything that they do is just, I mean, it's very genuine. So I absolutely recommend doing that. And and I trust his palate, so I was like, heck yeah, let's go for it. So I got it. I got it back home, and as you see, I mean, it's a little bit as I like to call it.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe that's why Peerless hasn't taken off as much as I feel like it should. I think their product is fantastic, but yeah, some of their prices generally range from the 100 to about 150, depending on some of the finishes. I don't know exactly if they get quite up to the 150 range, but for some of their unique finishes, they're up there. But I feel like you know what you're getting with Peerless. Like some other, distilleries, sometimes they try a unique finish, and you're like, okay, I've had other things from them. I really like it. This finish is interesting, or it sounds good, or I've had other brands that have done this finish, and I've enjoyed it. You give it a try, and sometimes you don't like it. But with Peerless, I haven't had one that I haven't liked. When I was at the distillery, they had 3 unique finishes, distillery only, and it was super difficult because it was towards the tail end of my trip. My suitcase was already not going to close. I knew I had to buy a bottle of Peerless, and I needed to figure out how I was going to get it all home. So I could only pick one of the 3, and it was a really tough decision. I forget what the third one was. One is one that I have out next to me, so I'm not going to talk about that. One was an absinthe finish, which really hit that licorice note. It was very much what you would expect. I'm not a licorice fan.
Me neither.
Licorice, Twizzlers, that stuff doesn't jive with me. My girlfriend loves Twizzlers, and I call them static sticks. I love Twizzlers too. Oh, well, I call them static sticks because I feel like it looks like you're eating a wrapped wire of electricity. So I was like, here's your static stick.
Regular Twizzlers are great. The black licorice one, I'm with you. I'm not a black licorice fan. Anytime that I get that note, I mean, it's just like it's like poltergeist. I don't want nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I completely understand what she's saying.
Yeah, the only time I can do that licorice flavor is if I'm doing a really good Sazerac. That's the proper way. If I'm going to have a little bit of that licorice flavor in my mouth, I need to have a really well-made Sazerac pour. It's the only way to do it. So I can roll with that. But we had that absinthe one, and I think it was like a banana bread is what they called it. I remember it having banana in the picture on the tasting sheet that they gave us. But I don't remember exactly what it was. It was my least favorite of the 3. It was still really good, and like I said, tempting to bring home, but
yeah, no, I mean it's I know Daniel Bourbon Hunt, he is all about some Peerless. My God, I think the dude's bar is nothing but Peerless stuff. So he absolutely is always got his pom-poms on for them. So he kind of pushed me to some of the stuff too in Peerless, just because he talks so highly of it. And it's not wrong. I mean, like for this, I mean it's caramel oak bomb. I mean, it is so good. A little bit of let's see what I mean. I get a little cherry in there too. I mean, I would be curious to see what this is actually aged to, because it doesn't say it on here. Not that I'm oh, look, I can read now. See, I can read. I can read now, Keith.
Barely.
So, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say that just because I put my glasses on, all the DMs, ladies, please don't send them. Could cause problems. Yeah, it doesn't say on here as far as the age on here, but I would assume, obviously it's going to be over 4 years. And this is twice barreled. So I mean, it really hits all the notes that you really like in a quintessential bourbon. But it's got a little bit more depth, obviously, because of the double barreling.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing like that you talked about and I talked about. This would be a bottle I recommend to someone. But the one thing I will caveat that with to kind of walk it back is it is a double oak. So you got to remember that you're going to get a bit of an oak or an oak forward in your pour, and you have to be a fan of oak and like oak. Otherwise, this pour isn't going to be for you, and that's fine. But if you're a fan of oak and you can deal with oak, this is a pour for you, and I do recommend whether you do the bourbon or the rye. I think it's a pour that most people would enjoy.
I really feel like this has the perfect amount of sweetness, though, to edge off that double oak to where it's not like too oaky. And you and I disagree on some of that stuff as far as the oakiness on certain things. But this right here is just the sweet spot, man. I mean, I could see me getting into this and then all of a sudden look down and the bottle's gone. That's how good it is. And that's saying a lot for me, because I drink just like you drink to a certain extent. When we get into stuff, I like to taste different things throughout the night. I don't want to stay on one thing. But again, if it's one of those ones that I love, and we talked about it the last episode with Old Forester 1920, 1897, this would go right there. Eagle Rare would be another one of those. Russell's Single Barrel would be another one of those where I have to watch myself on those, because I'll get in and I won't even realize it. Then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, let's time out. I didn't mean to, get into it that much. But it's just you appreciate it, you really like it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I don't quite get the sweetness in my rye that you're going to describe in your bourbon, but we talked about it before we even went into any tasting notes. I obviously get a little bit more of that black pepper, a little bit of mint, but sometimes people say that ryes can be overly minty. I don't get this as an overly minty rye. I do kind of get that on the tail end of this, but it's got that typical rye spice that you like, that black pepper, a little bit of the rye sweetness, which is going to be different than your bourbon sweetness, but I don't think my rye sweetness cuts into the oak the same way that your bourbon does.
Man, that is good, brother. If y'all don't have the double oak, I know the cost of it, but it's good. In my opinion, it's definitely worth the money. If I found another one of these on the shelf, I absolutely would buy it. No doubt. All right, you're talking about your rye. You got me wanting to get into a rye now. So,
well, I know
the rye that I'm going to get into. Yep. So I'm getting into. This is a single barrel that I picked. If you're in West Virginia, you can go see Big Apple Liquors. They still have some of this. It's a straight rye whiskey, 112.4 proof. It's at Big Apple Liquors. This is delicious. This is like a green candy apple. I mean, if I had with the bacon spices, a little bit of pepper, but that's what I get on this one. Absolutely. This is one of my favorite rye picks that I've done. Absolutely delicious. Would highly recommend going and picking up a bottle.
So I feel like because you're pouring a rye, I'm going to pour a Peerless bourbon because it only seems right to do it that way. Even though I pulled out a different rye store pick, I decided I didn't want to be like you. I wanted to be someone else.
You know what? You're a gangster. You got to do what you got to do.
Okay. So I talked about the 3 expressions when I was there and the one that I ended up with. So I got this one here. It's a bourbon whiskey finished in a rum barrel. So
My God. Green candy apple. Oh my jeez. Caramel. Mm. I'm almost feeling like I'm having a Meg Ryan moment. She's in the restaurant, you know what I mean? Good Lord. That is delicious.
we're being opposite. So, I'm going to continue my movie reference. You're like that part in Mrs. Doubtfire where he's at the same restaurant where he's going back and forth, changing in the bathroom, picking, like, we're all over the place. Man, woman, doesn't matter. This, scotch, beer, wine, teeth balling in. We're all out at this point.
I'm not gonna come in though with lipstick and earrings though, so that's not gonna happen.
I don't know. Miranda told me you might, but we can save that for another episode.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Man.
See, we're on two completely different palates right now at this point because I'm on a rye now, or I'm on a bourbon, and I have that rum sweetness. So I'm stuck with that sweet note, and that rum really shines through here.
I was about to say describe that for me because I haven't had too many things that had the rum barrels because I'm not a huge finish guy, and of course I said that before. Then all of a sudden I looked at all the stuff that I have that is finished, and I'm like, okay, maybe I like it a little bit, but I don't think I have anything that is a rum. So I'm very interested to hear your depiction of this one.
Yeah, rum finishes are slowly becoming one of my favorite finishes. Shout out to Greg Bourbon Finds, who does a fantastic job with all his picks. If you're not following Greg Bourbon Finds on Instagram, you're probably not following anyone related to bourbon on Instagram. I think he's like 195,000 followers. He had a Maker's Mark reel blow up for a couple million views, which is incredible. He released a Starlight Amberana finished with rum. And I'll tell you, I don't think I've ever gone from a pop to a finish faster in any other bottle that I've owned. I try to sometimes put them away so I don't finish them so fast. It was just so amazing. I wanted to share it with so many people. Everyone that tried it loved it. But back to the Peerless, because that's what we do. We don't stay on one track.
You were giving the backstory. It all connects. It's all good.
The rum generally is going to give you an extra sweetness. Rum is generally a little bit of a sweeter liquor. Obviously, you have different types of rum. There's, your Caribbean rum, which is going to be a lot sweeter than different rums. Your Caribbean, your Jamaican, and it just adds an extra layer of sweetness. So you got to kind of expect that. You're using sugar cane with your rum, so you're going to have that there. And that's what you should expect. And mixed with the bourbon, I think it just gives you almost more of a sweeter bourbon taste. It's not citrus. I know we did the Bardstown episode a couple weeks ago, and we talked about that orange zest, that orange sweetness. You definitely get that sweetness and that brightness that I was comparing it to then, but in a very different way and element. This is more... It's not sugar in the sense of you're drinking a sugary soda, but you get that sugary feel, that sweetness to it in a very complimentary, great way. I don't feel like my teeth are grinding because I just chugged a bottle of Coca-Cola, but I definitely get that mouthfeel of a coated sweetness.
Yeah, I'll have to try that. Like I said, I don't think I have anything that is a rum finished. I think everything that I have, some Amberana, some port wine, obviously, because the Angel's Envy stuff. I've got, like I said, I did a post one time with all the finished stuff, and it definitely is probably not as much as what you have, but that sounds very interesting. I would definitely be interested in giving that a shot.
Well, if I don't finish it between now and about a month, you can try it. So, you didn't get the Wild Turkey Voyage then, did you?
I did not.
Because that's finished in Jamaican rum cask. That Jamaican rum cask on that, I would say, is very different than the Peerless. You can do them as a side by side, but I wouldn't compare them because they're different rums. They're using completely different rums, and the sweetness levels on those are very different. So they're unique in their own rights. I wouldn't say one is necessarily better than the other. If you typically like a little less sweetness, this just says rum finish. It doesn't say Jamaican. It doesn't say where the rum is. This would be the rum finish for you. If you want a rum that's a little bit sweeter, that Wild Turkey Voyage, which is their annual release, you're probably not going to find one at this point, just because they'd be way overpriced if they're still sitting on the shelf. That would be kind of your way to think about it or look at it that way.
I got you. Yeah. What is the price point on that one?
On
Do you remember?
The rum is about $130, I believe, is what I paid. Somewhere in that range. I don't think it was much more than that. I think it was about $120, $130.
Yeah, I mean it's Peerless is a little bit more expensive, but again, these are people that are doing it themselves. They're not sourcing anything. And like I said, the packaging, I like the packaging. I've heard some people say stuff negative about it, but I think it's a cool little bottle. I mean, I think that I think simplistic things are very sexy to a certain extent. I mean, it's not like it's a overpackaged thing. So I mean, I think the whole appearance of it all definitely warrants the money on the ones that I like, right? So I don't know if I would pay that for the bourbon again or just a regular rye pick, but these single barrels and the double oak one, absolutely, I would pay the money.
Yeah, I would absolutely pay the money. With Peerless too, they have a pretty cool story. They have a long history in bourbon and whiskey. Their number, I believe it's 50. I'm gonna double check before I say that wrong. Yep, DSPKY 50.
Yep.
I believe, if I remember the story correctly, they sold or they changed ownership at one point, but they, through everything that happened, in time they were able to get that DSP back, which is pretty cool, which is pretty unique, number 50. For those of you who don't really know about DSPs, in order to distill, you have to get a number assigned to you. So like if you look at Jack Daniels, I believe they are Tennessee's number 1. I don't remember off the top of my head, which I'll probably get reamed about, what Kentucky's number 1 is. I don't know if you know, Austin.
I plead the fifth.
All right. But every time a new distillery is going to open up, they'll get a DSP number assigned to them. So that's why it's also by state. So for Peerless, it's DSP-KY-50. So as distilleries go, they get those numbers assigned. So Peerless and Corky and the whole family and the team were able to get this one back. And if you ever go there, they do a great dive into their history, a great tour, and a great tasting. They're really cool. They have some cats there. I know they aren't the only place in Kentucky that does bourbon that has cats. Shout out to my Jeffrey Creek friends. But it's always a great time when you can kind of have a great experience,
but does the cat,
history, and drink some good pours.
Does the cat follow you? Does the cat follow you through the whole entire tour?
No. So I've only done the tastings there. I haven't done an expansive tour there. But that's
so. This is again. This is where we're talking about we go off the rails. So yeah. When I went to Wilderness Trail, right? They actually had a cat that like legitimately followed us everywhere we went through the whole entire tour, and it was just the sweetest cat in the world. And I'm not a big cat person, but I did like that cat.
Awesome. I can't lie. You had a great opportunity for a pun there, and you completely ruined it. And I have to call you out. Off the rails, and you go to Wilderness Trail. Off the trail, come on.
But nah, it was really, really cool. Well, man, I gotta say that I am not displeased by our choice of of whiskey tonight. It's been great. Love to hear some of the history of Peerless. You did a great job on that. And the juice inside of these bottles is amazing. I wish I could try some of the ones that you have, so I can compare and contrast. It's always fun to do that with you, just because we have such drastic palates that are completely different. Although here lately, we've been right on the money. I mean, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know what's going to happen next. So I guess people are just going to have to stay tuned and find out, right?
Yeah. We'll figure it out one episode at a time.
That's right. Well, cool, man. Well, if y'all don't have Peerless, go try you some. Tell us what you think about it, all that kind of good stuff. And I guess until next time, my friend.
Yeah. And tell Corky we sent you. Cheers.
Cheers, brother.